Welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name is Aaron. In today's video, we're talking about three main things. I want to talk about the bigger picture, how there are certain levels that once Bitcoin rallies above certain levels, you never see this price level again. So we're going to start off talking about bigger picture. Then I want to clue you in on the most interesting pieces of news of the day. For instance, Visa, right on their website, hiring a blockchain engineer. They mention Ethereum by name. I want to talk about Fidelity, one of the biggest financial firms in North America, doubling down on its stake in a Bitcoin mining firm. Basically, the most interesting things that you need to know as a cryptocurrency enthusiast and investor, as a Bitcoiner, or whatever you are. We're going to talk about Chainlink. I want to talk about a positive testimony from Masari CEO for Cardano. Talk about this. And even if we have time, I even want to play you a couple of clips from this Raoul Paul interview from Real Vision. He's a financial expert, and he talks about what's going to take Bitcoin to new levels, the endless positive feedback loop, and even gives his thoughts on DeFi, which is always interesting to see these professional people. We had Pompliano on the podcast. He gave his thoughts. We had Dan Held on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. He gave his thoughts. And we'll even talk about this video my brother put out yesterday. So tons of stuff to get to, guys. Make sure you watch the whole thing. Do me a favor right now, hit that like button, and let's get started right here. So the way that Bitcoin's price moves is gradually, then suddenly. Almost, what we see in when technology gets adopted, like the multiple S-curves of adoption. And, think back to prior bull cycles. There was a time when Bitcoin was sitting at $700 for months. I bet a lot of people thought it would fall back down to the 400 level, but it never got back to 400 again, and then it eventually never got back to 700 again. Let's quickly go through each bull cycle, then kind of talk about, what's to come for, this cycle. So you can see back in 2012, 2013, this is the halving right here. Bitcoin, this was the first accumulation, the bottom, and then it had this S-curve of adoption, and then it kind of, this is a bullish consolidation at $5 for months and months, and then it did the same thing up to $12. And again, I bet a lot of people thought, I don't want to buy Bitcoin at $12. I'd rather wait for it to fall back down to $5. But eventually Bitcoin, S-curve of adoption, broke above an all-time high, and then we see this again, and then this time it's $116, cut to 2015 and 16 and 17, Bitcoin $250 for months and months, then 400, then 700, then 2,000, 300. Now, in this bull cycle right here, we don't know what's going to happen. Could it fall lower? Of course it could. Anything could happen. But it's very likely that we will never see Bitcoin at a price of $3,000 again. It's also likely that we'll never see Bitcoin at a price of $4,000 again. Now, it might even be the case that we never see Bitcoin at a price of $6,000 or $7,000 again. That's less likely. But just so you know, this is kind of how Bitcoin price gains traction. And you don't want to have sold your Bitcoin before something like this or like this or like this or like this. You don't want to sell your Bitcoin before something like this happens. Otherwise, you'll get burnt, right? You don't want to be chasing pumps like Chainlink, although we'll talk about that in a second because Chainlink is having a fantastic year. But here's the thing. Bitcoin has been around $9,000 for months now. It's been hovering around like 8,000 to 10,000 for months. And for me personally, I didn't think that Bitcoin could sustain a price above 9,000 for this long. In the future, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, there's going to come a time where Bitcoin never goes back to 9,000 again. So just if you're bullish on cryptocurrency, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, just be prepared for that because we are post-halving, we are in a bull market, and we are seeing the urge to speculate is a go. People are bullish on speculating on this stuff. Real quick, let's listen to Raoul Paul give his thoughts. It's about 45-second clip, basically talking about what's going to take Bitcoin past 10,000, then past 20,000, then past 30,000. Basically, the endless positive feedback loop. That is Bitcoin. Then we'll get to recent news. Then we'll get to DeFi. Then we'll get to my thoughts.
Now, the problem is one day Bitcoin breaks through 10,000. It starts going up, and all of the people who are short the options are now suddenly short Bitcoin, and they have to start buying it. All of the guys on leverage who were short all get stopped out of the leverage, and before you know it, goes from 10,000 to 15,000, and off it goes. And then it decouples from the S&P. There's another interesting component to the optionality in Bitcoin. It's currently a $200 billion market cap asset. Pretty small, really, for an asset. To call it an asset, it's actually a bit of a push. It's a thing that's worth $200 billion. Well, we know, and you know, that all the institutions, from Fidelity through to, you name it, are all looking at it. And they're all thinking, do I need to do anything here? But it's a bit small, maybe I don't. But I tell you, if Bitcoin goes up to 30,000, so it now has a $600 billion market cap, well, that's going to incrementally bring in more people. If it goes up to $1 trillion market cap, it's going to bring in almost everybody, and that takes it up to a $2 trillion market. Everybody is short Bitcoin. They know they need to buy it. They can't buy it until the market cap gets big enough. As the market cap gets big enough, it forces the next buyer in. It's a really fascinating price dynamic because everybody's kind of figured out, okay, this has an important role to play.
Let's go over some recent news. Visa is hiring a blockchain engineer right on their website, and the most interesting thing about it was the fact that they mention Ethereum and Ripple and Bitcoin by name. We're seeking a strong developer experienced with Ethereum and blockchain architecture to be part of a team tasked with building distributed application. Our ideal candidate has built and released distributed applications, has worked with Ripple, R3, Ethereum, and or Bitcoin blockchain, and has experience with Solidity. So I just wanted to point this out. This is a green flag, something that tells us that the future is cryptocurrency. Don't get left behind. I mean, what? Is Visa in on the Ponzi? Is Fidelity, one of the biggest investment firms in America, in on the Ponzi? No, in fact, they just doubled down. Fidelity holds 10% stake in Bitcoin mining firm Hut 8. This is, they doubled their position. Before it was around 5%. Now it's 10%. Give you the quick take. Fidelity now holds about 10.6% stake in Canadian publicly traded Bitcoin mining firm Hut 8, according to a regulatory filing. Fidelity investment in Hut 8 is significant since the asset management giant is known to be mining Bitcoin since 2014. Let's talk about Chainlink, let's talk about Cardano, and then I want to give you Raoul Paul's thoughts on DeFi and give you my thoughts on the video my brother made yesterday. So real quick with Chainlink and Cardano, Chainlink surges 40% to a new all-time high. And this is what the Chainlink chart looks like. I mean, if you're a Chainlink holder and have been for some time, oh my God, you're in one of the few coins which is breaking all-time highs. I would consider taking profits personally. Actually, if you want a deeper, more recent analysis on Chainlink, my brother actually covered it in this video. So seek that out. Because in this video, I guess we'll just talk about it now before I get to the Cardano stuff. In this video, my brother basically gave his thoughts on being a Bitcoiner versus also being bullish on the rest of the altcoin market. And I generally agree with this video. So if you haven't watched this video, seek it out. If you've been subscribed to our channel for a while now, you know me personally. It probably seemed like I've been more critical with altcoin projects for the past couple months, if not couple years, because over the past couple years, I've become more of a Bitcoiner myself. I think one of the most fundamental problems in the space today is, first of all, people who are actually in the cryptocurrency space, let alone the no-coiners, but people who are actually in the cryptocurrency space, I think a lot of people don't understand why Bitcoin is number one and why Bitcoin is fundamentally different. So, and that's just people who are involved in the cryptocurrency space, let alone people who don't know anything about cryptocurrencies. I think a lot of people come into the space and think they see Bitcoin right here, and then they see something else right here, and they think it's pretty much equal. And, I just think there's a lot of misinformation out there. So if I'm constantly making the point why Bitcoin is fundamentally better, it's just because I think a lot of people don't realize that. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean, you need to be bearish on altcoins to be bullish on Bitcoin and everything my brother said in this video. Yes, there's certain aspects of centralization that are involved with these other coins. there's trade-offs, but as long as you know the trade-offs, you can still be bullish on these other coins. Yet at the end of the day, what you want to have at the end of the day is more Bitcoin, in my opinion. There's nothing guarantees that Chainlink is going to be around for another 10 years. But because Bitcoin has been around for 11 years and gone up in 11 years, it's safer to have your money in Bitcoin. So I don't know if that clarifies it. This is Raoul Paul's thoughts on the DeFi space, and he is interested. As you know, he has 25% of his net worth is in Bitcoin. He's a huge Bitcoiner, and he definitely 25% of his net worth isn't in DeFi altcoins. Yet, despite that, he's still interested in the technology. It's experimental, but this is what he says.
What do you think about these protocols that are completely decentralized? They are completely transparent. You can see how they work. So it's almost like the traditional financial system, but you can actually see the inside of it. Do you think people are going to really start adopting that, and that's going to replace our traditional financial systems?
For sure. So if we think the beginning part of our conversation, we started with what is a store of value. We then talked about, okay, what is a reserve asset and collateral, and how do governments interact with this, and how do they feel about it, which is the regulation part. Okay, and we hinted at, but this is only the start. There is a layer that gets built on top, because once you've got a digital platform with a value system and a means of exchanging it and plugging it into the rest of the system, what we call on-ramps and off-ramps, well, then you can change all of finance. Because everything can be distributed and everything can be on a blockchain and everything can be instantaneous. And then you've got this trusted store of value where you can embed smart contracts and you can embed all sorts of things. So now you start thinking, oh, wow, okay, if we've just reinvented money, we can reinvent a financial system and we can reinvent all the architecture for all of it. And that is what is going on. So DeFi is just part of it. It is, we haven't talked about the tokenization. We haven't talked about, all the other developments, just from straightforward payments platforms to custody, to insurance contracts, to global supply chains, to everything that is all going to change. We are going to go through the same level of change we went through from maybe 1992 to current date with the internet and what it did versus this. And again, it's a red herring because people say, well, it's too complicated. I don't understand the internet. I have no idea how I can send you an email. I don't understand how telephones work. I have no understanding how this video works because we don't have to. Now, yes, a lot of this stuff is very complicated, but in the end, you won't notice because your mum will be paying you to go and buy yourself a drink on your birthday present and instantaneous money over her Facebook, which she spends all day on, and it interacts when you don't spend all day on Facebook, but it'll go to your Instagram account because you hang out on Instagram and you can collect your money there. That's what the world we're going into. We don't need to understand any of this really. It's good to understand the base layer, Bitcoin. Understand the base layer and the value system, and everything else just builds on top.
Very nice. Okay, well, we'll get to the Cardano news some other time, guys. My name is Aaron. This is Altcoin Daily. I'm bullish on the future. I'm bullish on the future for Bitcoin, and it is clear that people want to speculate on alts. So I'm excited about the future. All right, see you guys tomorrow.